I think it's good that we understand the Bible in modern language, and so our translation that we read from on Sundays is a good translation. However, we miss something sometimes when we gave up the King James. Like our John reading this week. The King James puts it beautifully when Jesus tells them to roll away the stone, and in our translation it says, "But there's a stench, O Lord, and he's been in the tomb 4 days." And in the King James it just says, "But Lord, he stinketh." We don't use words like that anymore. Stinketh, right? I will, though, be preaching from John 11, 1 through 45. You know, I got put on this email list. I'm not even sure how I got put on this email list, but I got put on this email list, and supposedly it's ministry help for pastors is what the email line always comes in as, right? And these articles, they're great. They always start off the same way. It's like 3 things to tell if your church is a thriving church, or 5 ways to tell if you're doing great ministry. My favorite one was 6 ways to stop doing bad evangelism and start doing good evangelism. Thanks a lot for that one. You probably get lists like this too, I would bet, whether it's in magazine or in email form, right? 5 ways to have a happy marriage, right? As if that article is going to fix it right then and there, right? Or 3 ways to get a better job because it's just so easy in this climate. Or 6 easy steps to have a perfect home. The easy steps never account for the fact that you have a full-time job and kids and all that stuff, but hey, who's counting, right? 4 easy ways to lose weight. They never say eat what you want, which is what I really want to do. You probably get articles like this too, right? Here's the thing about those articles. First, pardon my French, pardon my language here, but they suck. Right? I mean, they just don't work, right? Like, they never actually really improve your life. And yet, we keep reading them. I actually open this email all the time. I'm not sure why I open this email. I wish I did it. Why do we believe in them? Why do we look at them? The answer I've come to is that deep down, what these articles really allow us to do is they really allow us to believe that we can give new life to ourselves in some way, right? All I've got to do is 3 easy steps. All I've got to do is change 5 little things about myself, and then I'll have new life. Then I'll lose weight or be healthier or have a new job. We like to believe deep down that there is something that we do. There's something that we contribute. There's something that we add to this process. Deep down, we like to believe that. We meet Mary and Martha. We meet them at a funeral in our gospel lesson. We actually read this lesson at funerals all the time. This is when you hear this lesson all the time. We meet them at a funeral. Their brother Lazarus is sick and then dies. I think it's important that we note that we meet them at a funeral because they've reached that point at a funeral where there's nothing more you can do. You can't add any more. There's no 5 easy steps to raise somebody from the dead. There's no 3 easy ways to stop a death. There's just not. The death has happened. There's nothing more they can do. They've reached the end point of what they can add to the process. All that's left is the mourning. And so they come and they ask Jesus for help. Jesus is late in getting there. Jesus has his own motives and his own agenda. He's not a wishing stone. So he arrives late. And Mary and Martha both have this line, which is filled and drenched with sadness. Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. Lord, if you had been here. We probably say that often enough to Jesus in our own life. Lord, if you had been here, this wouldn't have happened. Jesus, in talking to the sisters, says, he says, well, he will be raised. And the sisters give the Sunday school answer at first, right? I know he'll be raised on the last day. I've been to Sunday school. I've been to confirmation. Rabbi Dave gave me a quiz on that. I know. But then Jesus gives the wonderful line. We know this line. This line sticks. This line is one of those things that people memorize, but I think in knowing it, we miss how radical it truly is. I am the resurrection and the life. I am the resurrection and the life. And suddenly, absolutely suddenly, all those lists and all those articles that we get in our email box go away, right? There's no 5 easy steps to a resurrection. No 3 easy ways to bring about new life. In fact, it's just the opposite. There is just one thing, just one easy step. Believe in Jesus. It's the only way to new life is through Jesus. Now the trick with believing in Jesus is it means you kind of got to give up all the ways in which you think you get to contribute, right? You don't get to add anything to what Jesus does. Jesus has done it already. There's no 3 things you get to do. It's just believe in Jesus. Basically, we have to give up believing in our own works and trust that Jesus is the one who gives us new life. And that is a lot harder than we would like to imagine. Because it leaves out all those little ways we love to pretend that we add something to the process. Wonderful news is that for Lazarus, Jesus is, in fact, the way to new life, and for Mary and Martha, too. The beautiful thing about this story is Jesus raises Lazarus from the dead, even though Mary and Martha aren't particularly happy with Jesus and really don't say yes and don't give him great answers. They're angry at Jesus. In fact, it doesn't matter. Jesus still raises Lazarus to new life. Or go back to the Ezekiel reading. God asks Ezekiel in our first lesson, "O mortal, can these bones live?" Which is perhaps the question we're always asking ourselves. Can these bones live? Can this dead thing live? But notice what Ezekiel says. Ezekiel doesn't say, "Yes, Lord, I believe." And Ezekiel doesn't say, "Yep, Lord, you can do it." All Ezekiel says is, "Oh Lord, you know." By the way, when I was in 9th grade, I didn't do my math homework once. Actually, I didn't do my math homework often, but that's a different issue. But I didn't do my math homework once, and my teacher asked me what the answer to question 4 was, and I tried what Ezekiel tried. I said, "Oh, teacher, you know." Didn't work for me. But it works for Ezekiel. He doesn't have to give the right answer. God still promises to raise Israel from the dead, and Jesus still raises Lazarus from the dead. This is the great thing. It doesn't depend on us at all. This new life that is coming into the world, this new life that is entering our world, this resurrection that we will learn about on Easter Sunday and we will hear about, this resurrection enters our lives without us giving the right answer or having it all together. Thanks be to God for that. Lutheran theologian Robert Jensen says that the difference between a living thing and a dead thing is exactly this. A living thing has a future. A dead thing doesn't. I think what we're all desperately afraid of in one way or another is, do we have a future? And we can go running to those lists and those articles that we read all the time, right? We can go running to them. 5 easy ways to have a future. 3 easy ways to get a better job or to make your home perfect or to lose weight. 2 easy ways to fix all your problems. But actually, the truth of the matter is, those lists don't work. And in fact, the truth of the matter is, there's only one way to new life, and that is through Jesus Christ. Amen.